Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I got another reel that Bobby from Tennessee has sent me. He sends me all these wonderful projects. I call them tuition reels. They're not working, and well, in the back of our minds, we hope to get them to work. Give them a second chance. This is a South Bend 760 Perfecterino, and this one may have been made by Shakespeare. Shakespeare made a lot of the South Bend reels. It's possible that this is one of them. So it's not turning. There's an issue with this. We're going to take this reel apart. I'll show you how it's made, and we'll see if we can't get it going again. A lot of the times when you get a reel like this that's aged, it's simply dried grease. Sometimes it's a broken piece or part. Right now this is not turning at all. So we're going to start by taking off the exterior pieces here, get at that case, see if we can understand what the cause of it is, and we'll get it back to Bobby to go take fishing. I'm going to start by removing the handle screw, or the cap, and the handle, and then we have a few side plate screws. While I'm removing these screws, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel, particularly if you like the art of fishing service and reel repair. And I try to teach you how to do it yourself, and I work on all kinds of reels. Today we're working on a vintage reel from the 40s or 50s, probably the 50s, and tomorrow maybe the latest in equipment from a modern day manufacturer. You never know. You're looking over the shoulder on the reels that come into my shop for service, and I try to show you how to do it so that you can gain those skills, not be afraid to go work on the reels, and kind of do it yourself to keep your tackle and equipment going. So please subscribe and use that notification button to let you know when I'm posting. I've removed the 4 screws. I don't think these 2 have to come out. We'll find out. But this was the era when you had the bridge, so those 2 will come out. We'll remove that bridge. Again, that's very similar to the Shakespeare bridge, so my guess is it's probably made by Shakespeare or Fluger, one of the 2. And well, the spool's not turning. So there's something going on here. And likely it's just frozen in the case. You never do know, but we'll see if we can't get that out. Wow, that's pretty tight. Let's see if the main gear is turning. The main gear is turning fine. We'll service that, but that's turning fine. So now we have to figure out why we can't get that spool out. And I think to do that, yeah, there's nothing moving here at all. That's really unusual. Okay, well, let's take this side off. Probably pull the spool out with this side. Most of the time you're going to need a micro screwdriver when you're taking these pieces out. When I take the screws out, I like to put them on my desk to make sure that I can identify which screws go where if one of those screws is different from another one. This would be very unusual for it to be frozen in the case, but it could be that the piece just rusted in place. Very unusual, though. All right, we want to take that, and then there's also, I believe, this has to come off as well. Those screws are all the same. I'm going to take those and put those into my parts tray. Use a little bit of penetrating oil there to help loosen that up. Clearly over tightened. And now let's see if we can't get the side plate off and wow. So all you can say is wow. Just keep pulling on it. Oh geez. Alright, well, we got that out. Here's the assembly. Wow. Holy cow, that is something. So the slightest bit of turning, this is locked in there. Well, I'm going to just take a moment here. We're going to spray this all down with penetrating oil, see if we can't loosen up whatever's holding this on in that cap there. We'll shut the video off for a while. This is going to take more than just a minute or two for that to flood and to try and break it up. Okay, just keep continuing. We just unloaded that. I'm starting to get some movement now. Jeez, this is a white knuckler. There we go. Wow. I would say this is definitely a Shakespeare reel based on the where they use that bushing on the back of the spool. Lots of rust. Lots of rust. So I would say this got rusted in place, and that's the cause of the failure. I'm going to use a steel wool to buff that rust off here. It seems to be cleaning it up. It seems to be smooth, not pitted, but it's just a case where that just rusted in. It's probably just a steel piece. So just do our best to clean that up. See what we have in the back here. I'll just try to curl this a little bit, see if I can't get some of that into the case. Well, if you have any questions on this reel, or any reel in particular, maybe you're working on one just like this and it's stuck, and you're looking for advice on how to maybe get it unstuck, then just leave that in the comments section. I will try to answer that if I can. Let's see what we can do here. If we can put a little bit of grease on this, see how it spins. See if that takes it. Oh yeah, we got it spinning again. Look at that. Very good. All right, well, we unstuck it. Not going to say it's going to be optimal, but we did get it unstuck. While I have this off, I want to take a moment to just do a little bit of cleaning on this. I'm going to get a kitchen scrubby, or in this case, two. A little bit of rod and reel cleaner. And polish it up. You can see that there's some wear and some loss on the casing itself. You can't fix that. That's a metal coating, but you can do what you can to make sure that it stays as clean as possible. All right, I'm going to put this case back together then. Took forever to get it off. Let's see if we can get it back on. When I pull that off, this came off. This is your line guide cover. Let's clean that up. I tested the line guide when I was working before, just waiting for that penetrating oil to go. This is working. So just a good amount of oil to clean that up, lubricate it. And I think before we put the cap in that in, we got to go put the rest of this cover on. So let's get the line guide cover in place. There's two pins that sit in the holes. And our line guide. And that can be approximate on the line guide because the piece is going to sit inside the hole here. You don't have to be right on with that, but you do need to get pretty close with this. And we can start the screws here. And we can make the final adjustments once we're holding with those screws. This was a little unusual. I guess it must be a steel bushing or bearing on the back end of that. It's not a bearing, bushing or cylinder maybe. And I guess it just rusted into place. So the steel wool is a good buffing agent that can get that cleaned up for you. Okay, we got a couple of things to do here. We want to make sure that we get this shield in place again. It's a whole lot easier to do it when screws are holding the case. pretty close. You can probably get that in without the other one. There we go. Okay, now we can tighten down that screw and we'll clamp that down. So these are nice reels. It's a shame on this one that it hadn't been cared for, and that ultimately caused that to freeze up there. We'll take you through the rest of the service because the gear side seems to be turning. The line guide is okay. Looks like we've freed up the issue with the side plate here. So I think we're going to have a functional reel again. I'm going to have to see. One more screw here. So this surprised me. This is not one of the things I expected. But I guess you can always get surprised when you're working on these reels. There's a lot of things that are common failures, and then there's some that are, well, uncommon, and I would say this one is uncommon. And I don't know. It's obviously this reel has been sitting for a long time to allow the rust and everything to kind of take hold there. So I don't know what the story is with that. It could be something like a hurricane reel where it was sitting in a shed and a hurricane struck and nobody had a chance to clean out the shed or whatever, and well, just laid there for years and kind of rusted. Don't know. All right, this one now we should be able to walk this back in. So I'm going to move it over to one side, bring it out the, oh, we're not back in here yet. Okay, we're going to take the line guide, we'll move that all the way over to one side. We're going to try and bring it into that hole, put it into the groove, and then bring it back this way into the line guide gear. And turn it, make sure that it's turning properly, which it is. Now we can take the little cap that holds all of that centered, put that back on the reel as well. All right, I think we got the, looks like we got the thing working for the most part. Got the original line on it, so that again leads itself to, it's been a long time sitting. Just put a rubber band on this so that the string doesn't get trapped. I'm going to put a little bit more of the grease on here. Then we're going to insert this thing in there. Okay, I think we're in pretty good shape with that. Add a little bit of grease onto the cone here. Back here, a little bit of grease onto the line guide. All right, well, we said we're going to take that bridge off and service this piece. So let's go do that right now. So hopefully if you have one of these, you don't have it stuck the way we had it stuck. But the rest of this reel, you would follow the same type of servicing. You don't need to take that back end of the case off if your spool can be removed without doing that. But if you do, just be aware that you'll have to line up that line guide shield on like this. Should just pull off now. This is your bridge. Make sure that it's clean. A little bit of debris on there, so we'll just use some penetrating oil again to clear that up. Looks like that's shellacked, which makes sense with the age of the reel and what we've seen throughout. On the main gear, do the same thing, a little bit of spray just to help loosen it up. We put a paper towel under here and just pull through those teeth with a brush, just in case there's some dry grease in there. You don't want to have that clog it or make for a rough operation. All right, teeth are clean. Time to relube. Grease onto the shaft. Put the main gear back on. Grease the gear. Now, if you inspected the teeth and found that they were chipped or worn or bent or broken, you'd have to get another gear. There's no way you can straighten out the teeth on gears like this. All right, let's get that off to the side. There's a little bit of junk on the back plate, so let's do the same thing here. We'll put a little bit of penetrating oil on there as a solvent. Use the paper towel to clean the old greases off. And what I want to do on this now is I want to put a little bit of grease into where the spool shaft will go and a little bit where the main gear is going to go through. Take your bridge then, bring that in, align the two holes for the screws with the plate, and put the two screws back in. And I'm going to use a little screw starter. These are small screws and I have trouble with them, and one of our channel viewers, Dick, was kind enough to send me a screw starter. It's not going to work with this one. The slot's too small, but I use that so many times. All right, let's see if we can't get this going again. That's the one, and we're almost done with the other. Again, you're going to need a micro screwdriver for these. The screws are very small. You need to match the slots on your screwdrivers with the slots in the screw. Handle goes next. And we know this was turning before, so that's always a good thing. Handle on. Nut cap. Can mount that onto the reel. You want to look for the writing. The writing is going to help you to align the screw holes. The writing that says the model number and tag names is generally parallel with the bottom of the reel. This is either a plastic or a rubber insert. You gotta watch when you're buying reels like this. Sometimes those have shrunken. They've been near heat sources or the like. They've dried out, they've warped. I had I believe it was a Markov reel where that was exactly what had happened. The reel wasn't performing, and you looked at it, and this you saw where there was an indent in this for the line guide. Well, it warped around that and wouldn't allow that line guide worm gear to turn. So just be careful in your inspection of a reel before you purchase it. And this is a good example. Don't assume. Don't say, okay, well, that's a grease-choked reel. It's going to be pretty easy to fix that. All I have to do is kind of go in and do a cleanup. Well, we found out that it was a rusted bushing. So don't assume that it was just a grease choke in that case. Okay, we've just tightened up the cap. Let's see how we did. Well, it's certainly moving. It's not as smooth as it could be. I'm thinking that this is going to take a little while to wear in. I'm not sure what the residual is on the side cap here. That seems to be the issue. Well, it's even getting a little bit smoother as we work. It's not butter smooth yet. Yeah, look at that. Now we got the clickers coming back into play here. Yeah, I think if this just gets a little fishing time, that it will loosen up. And I suspect right now what's causing the issue is that it's still a little tight over here. There is an oil port here. You could put the oiler in and keep it lubricated. This is an oiler example. So, well, there you go, Bobby. You got it back working again, and it's starting to loosen up as we kind of do this. So my advice to you is just kind of make it work a little bit more, and it'll probably be, yeah, every time I turn it now, it just seems to be getting looser and looser. All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed that. To our first responders and essential personnel, thank you for everything it is that you do to keep us safe. I do appreciate your efforts. And to everybody, well, find these reels, take a look at them, learn from them. They can't be too expensive if they don't work, so make the seller a fair offer, but don't go crazy. And, well, you can learn from it. Sometimes you're able to give it a second chance like this one will have. All right, well, thanks again for watching. I wish everybody a good day and great fishing.